Hi, I'm Alex, but many call me Dr. Mama Bird. I'm a wife, a mom, a chiropractor, and maternal health care advocate. After a traumatic birth experience that led to an unplanned C-section over 6 years ago, I found myself searching for answers on how to heal. Even though I was in the maternal health care space myself, I found it difficult to find the resources needed to truly recover and restore my body. After 2 years of research, I found myself pregnant with our second child and was able to have an amazing redemptive VBAC birth experience with my dream team. After that incredible experience, I felt God had placed on my heart a mission to help other mamas and families have a similar redemptive experience. And in time, with my husband's help, we developed the C-section restoration method. On this journey, we've met a ton of amazing healthcare providers that are often considered hidden gems in the Dallas area. Now, as a part of that mission, I'm here to connect you and other families with the incredible healthcare providers who are passionate about supporting you and helping you to achieve your family's health and wellness goals. I'm Dr. Alex Pankoke, and this is the Dr. Mama Bird Show. Alrighty, welcome Mama Birds. This is Dr. Alex here. I am super excited today for this episode because we have a very special guest on who is going to be enlightening and sharing with us some important information that we all need to know as future mothers, women who are women in general and wanting to take care of our bodies and our families. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce her. Her name is Dr. Christensen. She is the owner of Carpathia Wellness here in Dallas, but she has had an incredible career that I cannot wait to share with you. Before we jump in, we'll just go ahead and allow her to introduce herself. Dr. Christensen, welcome on. Who are you? And tell us about
Dr.
you.
Alex. So I am an OBGYN by my original training. I've told Dr. Alex before, my MD stands for midwife in disguise. I've had a big practice down at Baylor Hospital for 10 years in Dallas and was the first person in Dallas to have nurse midwives in private practice, as well as I backed a birth center. And I was, always very supportive of natural birth and women's health. And, from a holistic standpoint, understanding this, we were born to do this and we scare women a lot. So I did that for a long time, got sick. I had 4 babies of my own. And then unfortunately, got a chronic environmental illness. It took me a long time to figure it out, but that got me into functional medicine. And now, 4 years later, I have Carpathia Collaborative, which is a large functional medicine practice. I teach nationally on women's hormones through functional medicine. And I've written a book on birth too, called Birthing a Better Way. And done some editing and chapters in other textbooks. So that's me.
Awesome. I've read that book, by the way. It's a good one. So Dr. Christensen, we always like to start everybody with asking, how did you get into healthcare? And you kind of shared a little bit about how you are where you are now working in functional medicine, which is a beautiful story. But how did you get into medicine in the first place?
Oh, I knew when I was 9 years old that I wanted to be a doctor. And I thought I was going to be a pediatrician, but I found that I really, really loved working with women when I was in medical school. So, I knew from an early age. It was a calling too. Yeah. And, very much spirit guided.
That's awesome. And then you became an OBGYN. What led you to obstetrics?
I became an OBGYN, first because, again, because the birth of my first child, which I did unmedicated, because I had read some things in college about that. And I had a very powerful spiritual experience during that birth. I was going like, oh gosh, why don't they teach women this? Why don't they teach us this as medical school, that this is possible? So that was part of my inspiration of going into obstetrics. And I did that for 10 years. And then because I got sick, that's how I got into functional medicine. After, I had to take a couple of years off. I had to close my big OB practice that I had. And, I went to all my colleagues and they all told me, oh, honey, you're just depressed. Here's your antidepressants. Oh, you're in severe pain. Well, then, go, here's some pain medicines, go see the physical therapist. But nobody was understanding anything about environmental medicine. And it took 8 years to figure out, but, myself and my whole family had toxic mold poisoning. And that's how I got into functional medicine. And that's how I started learning. I started just with women's hormones and, a lot of postpartum stuff and a lot of menopausal, natural hormones and all that. And then because of my own personal experience, because of the experience I have, 2 of my 4 now adult children are on the autism spectrum. So I've learned a whole lot about environmental toxicity and just all the poisoning that we're seeing. So I have a very large breadth and depth of experience in neurological issues, cardiovascular issues, besides fertility, autoimmune, a lot of autoimmune experience that I have, besides doing all the fertility stuff and the hormones. Yeah.
It's kind of scary right now in the world when it comes to having a baby or wanting to have a baby if you're able to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of all like the things that are coming after it. Before, birth was looked at something in this country as like abnormal. It's a disease we need to manage, we need to treat. And now, we're starting to recognize it's physiologically normal. Some of us are seeing that it's physiologically normal to birth. That's how we were designed. Like we've been here for, generations, didn't just pop out of nowhere. And your body is designed to do this. But as we're starting to wake up to that, we're also starting to see some of these trends that kind of lead back towards that, some of the reasons that we might be fearful. What are some things that we can do as women and families, whether you're, wanting to have a kid in a couple of years or a couple of months, or maybe you're not even married or considering it yet, but you want to know one day that's on the horizon. What are some things women and men can do now to start preparing their bodies to be able to be the parents they want to be and have those experiences and healthy babies that we're all wishing and praying for?
Yeah, sure. Well, that's a very big question and a very big ball of wax. But let me just let you know that a lot of the answers, I will answer the question in a brief outline, but a lot of the information that you're seeking, I've just put together an online summit that's going to be online free, the June 17th through 23rd, and then the following weekend after that, called Hormonal Havoc, the COVID Fallout and How to Fix It. And I think that you're going to have a link in the show notes, but I take you through all the different steps, the detoxification thing to do, again, the diet, the nutrients, the mindset, and that's really important. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So in terms of, you're asking me, okay, what are the things that we can do? And you absolutely mentioned the first number one thing is to understand from a mindset standpoint, our bodies are God-given to create new life and to give birth. We are taught in medical school that, kind of birth is a disaster until proven otherwise. And instead of, no, it's an amazing, powerful gift that our bodies can do if we know how to support them right and if we can believe in that. And so just shifting that mindset too, and again, shifting the mindset into the power of the sacred feminine, and that we, we as women have this ability to bring life in. That's amazing. And so just tapping into that source, number one, is the first thing to do. And then I think in this day and age, you need to prepare at least 6 months ahead of trying to get pregnant. Longer than that, if you have a history of being sick a lot as a kid, being on a lot of antibiotics, and having things like toxic mold exposure. But I think going for eating as clean and organic as possible is absolutely critical. And there's ways to do that in an economical manner. And this is where, again, you can get together in community to be able to do that. Go to environmentalworkinggroup.org and the Organic Consumers Association, and they have all kinds of things that, suggestions, also responsible-technology.org, kind of ways that you can feed yourself or organic foods, because what we have to do is stop putting the toxins in. Mm-hmm. And I would, there's kind of detoxification protocols that I recommend using diet and, specific nutrients that are upregulating liver enzymes and gastrointestinal enzymes and, and your kidney, and making sure that you're flushing fluid, of course, this is just, duh, as much, hydration as you can, 70 ounces of water a day, but put some electrolytes and minerals in it. We don't have those. Mm-hmm. Or I take a mineral capsule every day and put electrolytes in my water, because that's helping to flush the toxins. So those are some simple things that you can do. Both sides have to do it, both men and women. Keep your cell phones off of your body. Particularly men, none in the pockets, radiating your testicles. Women certainly none around your breasts. But we know that these are messing up, fertility like crazy. And I do have one of my interviews in my summit is with Elizabeth Rowe, who I suggest as a guest here. She's our fertility specialist at Carpathia, and she has a whole list of things for folks to do. Again, sleep quality is really important. And so just work on the lifestyle factors, really mindfulness, have a prayer practice, meditation every day, work on calming your nervous system down and opening yourself to receive a new life. I think that those are important things. And then you have to prepare the body to again, be welcoming for that. And then you may need, depending on your particular history, you may need some more advanced strategies, on the detoxification end. So those are some of the simple things that I would suggest.
Awesome. I love that you share that. And chiropractic, one of the premises is there's three things that typically cause dis-ease in our body, or our body's not to function the way they were designed, right? So there's physiology, which a lot is a fancy word for people to basically how your body is designed to work, how it's supposed to function. And then there's pathology, when things go wrong. And so our goal from a holistic standpoint is to support how things are supposed to function. Now, there is a study of when things go wrong and what to do. But if you support normal function first, we can prevent dis-ease or the system not working the way it's supposed to work. And those three things that typically cause that are thoughts, which you talked about, your mindset, and how your body, your body, is a representation of your mindset. Really, your health is a representation of that. There's trauma. So there's physical and emotional trauma, which on the chiropractic spectrum, that's something that we really focus on. We see a lot of women who have trauma to their pelvis, and it's not like massive traumas, car accidents or anything like that, but micro traumas of sitting at the desk all day long. And that will affect your body's ability to function normally. Men as well, but there's also macro traumas. So, sports injuries, car accidents, things like that we want to address. And then there's also toxins, which you mentioned. So those three things, and now we're adding technology to it, which you also mentioned, but those four things or categories of what places things can go awry in your health are all things that are relatively easy to address if you're aware of them and you're conscious about them. Now, we don't have to be perfect every day. I'm certainly not, but if we do our best, being intentional about these four categories in our health, we're going to see a huge difference in our outcomes across the board. And then ultimately teaching those and demonstrating that to your children is what's going to help turn this around generationally for our families, obviously coming together in community, but literally just showing our children, this is how we take care of our bodies. And these are the things that are important. I know we've talked a lot about fertility and preparing for pregnancy and birth, but life doesn't stop there, especially for women, for everybody. But for women, as we mature, what are some things that women should be considering? Maybe you're past your childbearing years, or you're done having kids, but obviously you want to continue to live healthfully and have a life of longevity. What are some things that you would talk to or speak to the woman who is past that phase of her life? You would share? Well,
I think, again, the importance of mindset is pretty critical, understanding that, life's a journey, and can we enjoy this along the way? As we get into our late 30s, early 40s, just the stressors of, being parents and mothers, we may be also working outside the home, and even working inside the home is plenty of work. So all of that kind of builds up, and, financial stuff. So more stressors. So you've got to have something that you're doing to help support you on a daily basis. You have to have regular practices to, whether it's prayer, mindfulness, movement, et cetera, to really, again, take care of your mindset and keep the energy moving through your body so that it doesn't get stuck in stress. I think that natural progesterone is terribly underutilized, and you can get, and again, unfortunately, when we're under a lot of stress and a lot of stress hormones, we divert our progesterone production post-ovulation. We don't get as much. So you get some estrogen dominance, you can get heavier periods, more endometriosis, more PMS kind of symptoms. So I think oftentimes a little bit of support with some natural progesterone can be very super helpful, and is available over the counter in the second half of a menstrual cycle. But at the same time, you have to understand it's your adrenals that are part of the problem. And, how stressed are you? What are your tools to manage your stress, and how are you supporting those? So, I keep everybody on as, primarily plant-based, but paleo, and, fine if you're, eating animal, beef or whatever, then, try and get it pasture raised, and same thing, chickens and fish, to get it as clean as possible, and just trying to keep your diet as clean as possible, keep your body moving, keep your mindset, again, and then just recognize that, again, as we are maturing and we're settling into different rhythms and different cycles, there's a psychospiritual component that comes with that, in our 30s and 40s, and really learning how to tap into that and tapping into the power of that, and the knowledge and the affirming that our bodies are strong and powerful and healthy. Those are again, I think, really important things. So I would just say, making sure that you've got some tools that you use to manage some stress, keeping your diet as clean as possible, and getting enough, going to bed, getting your sleep, and then using appropriate nutrition and nutritional and or hormonal supplementation if need be.
Yes.
Most of us need it just because there's so many, we have such a high stress, toxic lifestyle. Ideally we wouldn't need any of this.
Yeah, ideally. And at the same time, having some support. There's so much information out there. Yeah. Working with a professional who can look into your specific situation and what is going on with your body can be so vastly different than, just picking something that you saw on Instagram, a supplement off of Instagram, or, a testimonial from here or there. Yeah. So one of the things I tell people a lot of times is the things that you can do on your own without necessarily bringing something externally in and onto your body, start there while you seek and start working with a healthcare provider, because it costs just as much energy to be stressed as it does to be healthy, right? So I work with moms, people in general, but a lot of times they are so tight, their shoulders are up in their ears, they're so stressed. And I have to remind them or teach them that the molecule for energy, ATP, is required for a contraction. So what would it look like if potentially we use some of that energy for something else other than like holding all of this tension in our body? Imagine how much energy you would have. You can't add a minute to your life by worrying, the Bible says. And so what are some of the things we can do is work between our ears while we look and seek for help from one of the providers like yourself, who can look specifically into the chemistry in your system and what's going on in your system to provide you specific recommendations. Dr. Christensen, I'm curious, how would somebody reach out to you if they were watching this and like, I really need some help here? How can I get support?
Okay, well, I think really the first place to go is to the upcoming summit, because I answer so many questions in this, and I have a whole presentation that's actually free that you can watch as part of signing up, which walks you through how to do appropriate hormonal balancing from a whole system standpoint. So I'd go to the link that's going to go with this show, and then Carpathia. It's going to be CarpathiaHealth.com. Carpathia was the ship that picked up the survivors of the Titanic. So we had the Titanic of Western medicine treating just the tip of the iceberg and foundering because of it. So at Carpathia, we have folks who specialize. I have a women's health specialist, Elizabeth Rose, one of my fertility nurses, Susan Attell. They're both speaking also on my summit. And so you can see me there. I am not seeing patients currently, however, directly. If you want to see me, you can schedule with one of my practitioners. We have wonderful men's practitioners as well. So CarpathiaHealth.com, CarPathia, and then health, HEALTH. If that doesn't work, then go back to Carpathia Collaborative. The website's just coming up right about the time this is going to come up. So
well, we will make sure to have the link on there. But I love the story of Carpathia. I did not know that. I didn't know that's where the name came from. And you do have a wonderful team, a quite robust team, actually, of different providers. So if you are looking for some support in your overall health, regardless of whether, you're like, I'm just looking for general support, or you're looking for infertility or fertility support, or as you mature, you have a large team. It's about, was it 15 or so?
10. There's 10 of us.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's still quite robust. And so there's quite a few people that can support you. So check out the website. Make sure to go to the summit. If you are at all curious, if you're like, I have not heard any of this before, or you have been hearing about some of the things that are going on and you would like to make sure that you're informed on how to help take care of your body and your family, make sure to go to the summit. The notes, or the link, will be in the notes below. But other than that, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And again, for honoring the normalcy of our bodies, and instead of pathologizing everything, which is, so much how we're taught in Western medicine. So I appreciate that. And I do think that, the chiropractic care is really part and parcel of primary care, as is using health coaches. So I think that is this is the medicine of the future. What the work you're doing, and really the foundations of diet, nutrients, again, brain and mindset, and connection to something bigger than ourselves. That's how we do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Christensen. All righty, Mama Birds.
Yeah. And I forgot to close with, there's always hope for health and healing. You just got to connect the dots. It's clean food, clean air, clean water, and a clear mind.
Exactly. That's beautiful. If you didn't know it already, Mama, you are loved. You cannot earn it. You cannot lose it. And we are here to support you here in the DFW area. You have tons of resources, tons of providers who want to help you, and we are here for you. So have a great day.